Tottenham Hotspur have been pursuing this player for a long time, and this time we got our man. Today we welcome Randal Kolo Muani to the club, and in this video I'll break down what he brings to the squad, what this means for the current setup, and why Spurs fans should be cautiously excited. Spurs are set to announce their fifth signing of the summer transfer window, and it's another big one. 26-year-old French international Randal Kolo Muani is joining from PSG on a straight loan agreement with no option or obligation to buy. This loan will cost Tottenham €5 million, and Kolo Muani is currently in London doing his medical ahead of the move. This is a case of second time lucky for Tottenham Hotspur. This one has been brewing for quite some time. Tottenham have been heavily interested in Kolo Muani since his Frankfurt days. However, cast your mind back to last January. At the time, with injuries piling up, Spurs were looking for an elite level forward to reinforce the attack. Talks were held with Muani and his camp. However, he turned us down and preferred a move to Serie A giant Juventus at the time. And credit to the guy, it did work out in his favour. However, fast forward to deadline today, and Tottenham Hotspur have pulled off quite the coup. A very opportunistic sign. It looked like he was heading to Juventus again. However, they couldn't sell the players to be able to fund the deal, so Tottenham Hotspur seized on the opportunity and got their man. Now, for me, the deal in itself, I think, is smart business on transfer deadline day. With Solanke set to be out for a couple of months with an ankle injury, and you cannot ask Richarlison to be able to carry the load alone either. He's not good enough for one, but also two, with his history of injuries at Tottenham Hotspur, the odds show you that he's more than liable to break down. So we could not run the risk of heading into this busy fixture schedule that we've got coming up all the way to the January transfer window with just relying on Richarlison. So this is an area that Spurs needed to sign today, and there wasn't a lot of options left in the market. So fair play to the board for getting something done, and not just anything, but someone who's actually good, someone of quality. And also, when you look at it being transfer deadline day, I don't believe there was time for Spurs to be able to negotiate a permanent deal. Anyone who's watched our negotiations before knows we don't do quick deals. It often takes us a couple of days, and them couple of days, we've often lost players because of how slow we are to negotiate deals. So I do think a straight loan was in the best interest of all parties. A, for PSG, for a player that they're looking to offload. B, for Spurs, because it badly needed a striker in the door. But also C, for Kolo Muani, who is desperately seeking a move. So this is a low move that works out for all parties. And also, by avoiding, paying a permanent fee for Kolo Muani today, we do save funds, which means it gives us extra funds to be able to get extra deals done before the deadline shuts at 7 p.m. tonight. Perhaps that elusive left winger. Also, if it does work out, we are in pole position then to be able to make the deal permanent for Kolo Muani. But if it doesn't work out, no harm done, no large fee sanction, which means we can wave goodbye to him in the summer and go and get the next guy in the door. So what does Kolo Muani bring to Spurs? What are we getting in Kolo Muani? Well, we are talking about a 26-year-old, so it does show that he's experienced. He's a France international. He impacts games anytime he plays for them, and he's played in a World Cup final. He's also played at the highest level in terms of club football, Bundesliga, League, Champions League, registering good numbers in terms of goals and assists across all them competitions. Not only that, he's fast, he's direct, he's comfortable playing down the middle, comfortable playing off the left wing. He likes to press out of possession, which is absolutely fundamental for Thomas Frank. And most importantly, he scores and assists goals. There's productivity there. In years gone by, we've signed a lot of potential. However, this time around, we have signed end product, which I have no doubt he will come in and boost Tottenham in terms of going forward. All you got to do is look at his Frankfurt season. He scored 23 goals and assisted 17 in all competitions, which did earn him his big money move to PSG. Now, I know things didn't quite work out at PSG, but I do think he's got all the raw ingredients to be able to succeed and make a success of it at Tottenham Hotspur, but also have a massive impact on the Premier League. I would also argue, I think he offers you something different to Richarlison and Solanke. Richarlison and Solanke are very similar in terms of they like to play with the back to goal, get the ball into their feet, try and hold it up, lay others off, and then try and sniff out chances in the box. Whereas with Kolo Muani, he is the sort of player that he's not always looking for the ball into feet. He can spin in behind and run in behind and give you that option. He makes very intelligent runs. Not only that, if you do get the ball into his feet, he is more than good enough to be able to get hold of that ball, get turned, and run at the opposition, which is something that I think Richarlison and Solanke do lack at times. And I think with Kolo Muani playing through the middle, with Kudus and Xavi Simons also supplying them, I think we are set for a very fast, dynamic, fluid front three that can link up with each other, and I think does change the game. When you look at the signings we've made this summer, the signings that I have talked about, it does look like that Thomas Frank is trying to replicate something similar to what he had at Brentford with the likes of Ivan Toney, Wissa, and Mbeumo. We do know that he does like very technical players in the front line that can link up with each other, but are also nice and quick and direct. And I think Kolo Muani fits the profile that Thomas Frank has been looking for. So the next question is, where does he fit under Thomas Frank in terms of the systems that he plays? Well, if you look at the 4-3-3, he can play as a striker or he can play off that left. And if he does play off that left, he is right-footed and he does like to cut in and unleash shots, something that Son used to do for Tottenham Hotspur. But if you play him in the 5-3-2, he can play up front beside a Richarlison, a Solanke, a Kudus if necessary. But he also gives you the option to be able to put the ball down the flanks and get him to be able to chase it down and get on the end of it and help Tottenham Hotspur get up the pitch. And then my final question is, will he outscore Richarlison or Solanke? That's the big question, right? That's what we brought him in to do. Now, if you were to base your answer off the output that he produced at Frankfurt, there's every reason to believe he will. If you base your answer at the difficult time he's had at PSG, then it does look like a huge gamble. Look, I would argue, I think he is better than Richarlison and Solanke in terms of attributes and all-around game. However, is his finishing any better than theirs? Well, that remains to be seen. However, welcome to Tottenham Hotspur, Randal Kolo Muani. Time to show us what you can do. Guys at home, let me know in the comment section, will he outscore Richarlison and Solanke? Is this a better signing than maybe what some people think? And can he convince Spurs to make it permanent next summer? And lastly, Ali Gold has reported Tottenham are still in the window looking for a winger. Let's see how that plays out. Hit the like, get your comments in, smash the subscribe, and as always, come on, you Spurs.